I'm going to show you how to do this. You're going to want to take the top part of their hair, not too much, not too little, because you're going to make 3 other ponytails that are going to go down the center back. What I bought, and you can get this at Walgreens, super cheap, but they work amazing. There's 3 different combs you can use depending on the hair type. This one, it literally says on the container that it's for fine hair. A lot of them have very fine, very thin hair. It doesn't hurt them when you tease. This one, if you have thicker hair like mine, a better option for you. First, you're going to do the poof. You're going to tease it as best you can. It doesn't have to be pretty. Once you get it kind of ratted, you're going to spray it. So you can rat a little bit more. Because the bottom tail of the, once you poof it, is going to go into the actual mohawk. So you tease it now, so that once you do the poof, you don't have to mess with it later. You're going to come around front and make sure that all your hair inside there, sometimes you can separate depending on their hair, and rat the front so that you don't want to see any holes through the poof, because this is going to be the hardest part to make stay, because it's directly in front of their face. And see, it already almost stands up by itself. Once you've got it teased, the trick I do to make the poof a little bit stronger is I twist it in the back. So I take it and you twist it, and then you can push it according to where you need it, or fix anything that's sticking out. Another trick for poofs, if your dancer has really fine hair and not a lot of it, you can put something inside of it like toilet paper. Some people have used a curler that I've known in the past. They do make little also poof setters, I guess, at Walgreens or other hair stores, depending on what kind of hair you have. She won't need it. Her hair's a little bit thicker.
The camera's gonna die. It's gonna die. It's blinking red.
Oh. What do we do?
Do you have a charger?
Nope.
I guess just keep going, and then it'll shut off. It'll save your video. I have to make a new one.
I hope. Reinforcement bobby pins. Once the poof is set and you do the mohawk later, you can go back and fix the poof. The poof is going to be your most troublesome part when they're dancing all day and they're wearing this for the weekend. I usually do the poof a teeny bit loose at the start just so I can go back and fix it at the end once I've pulled the hair. But you want to make sure you have enough hair for the poof at the beginning. That's the first part you want to do. And as you can see, it's pretty sturdy for right now. So we're going to go on to the ponytails. The idea of the mohawk is the sides have to be completely slicked, and the big crazy part is the actual part that you tease. So right now I'm going to separate her hair into 3 ponytails. You're going to use the tail, like I said, of the poof in your first ponytail. So your first ponytail at the top of the head isn't going to be that big. I usually do them into equal sections based on your child's hair. You'll know, and you want to make sure it's an even part as best as you can. You can take your comb and go in there and kind of naturally find it. See, I'm starting to find your rayons right here. I use gel for this part. You're going to want a nice gel that holds all their sweat all weekend. much. That one. Just play with it and see. They're not gonna see inside here because that's where the mohawk is gonna cover. So if this is not exactly straight, it's more about the sides. And the sides, what I do is I will blend them together once you have all the 3 ponytails with your brush. So if the back is not exactly even, that's okay, and it probably won't be because they have all hair going every which way. So that's my first ponytail, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna brush it as tight as I can first, and then I'm gonna hairspray it first, then gel it. Just so you can start to get the baby hairs around it. You can see she's got some baby hairs. The hairspray at first, we'll start blending that slick process first. And then you're gonna take your gel. There are a lot of gels out there. I'm no like hair gel expert, but there are a lot of gels out there that cause the flaking when you brush it through. There's a whole bunch that say non-flake. This one literally says non-sticky, no flakes, crazy hold. Different gels. Some people have preferences, but you don't want the flake look on it. You don't want them to look like they're walking in a winter wonderland. Depending on if your dancer has really thin hair or really thick hair, the rubber bands we used last year were these clear ones. These break very easy, and this, you don't want it to break underneath. If they have a lot of hair they can hide these with, I recommend these. They're a little stronger. They're really tiny still too, but they give you a better hold. Tug it on the poof, and that way, that's why I left the bobby pins up here, so if I have to fix the poof after I'm done with the mohawk part, I can. You're going to want to make this as tight as you can. Not hurting your dancer, of course, but pain is beauty. And you can come around and make sure that everything looks good in the front. Make sure you're checking the front. We're doing it in front of a mirror. That way you can tell if everything's off center right when you start, because going back later is going to hurt you in the long run. First ponytail is done. Then you do the same with 2 more. Try to make, now as you'll see, as I take the second ponytail, if your line wasn't as straight, it covers it. It's gonna look like she just has her hair in a high ponytail, but 3 separate ponytails. So, if your line's a little jagged, this is the perfect hairstyle for it because it hides it. This part, this will reassure some of you, is the hardest part. The mohawk actual part looks like it's the hardest part, but everyone's hair falls differently, and you literally tease it as much as you can. It's gonna fall right into the place, and I'll show you that in a little bit, how it's gonna sit. Now they're wearing visors in some dance, hats in some dance. You're gonna want the ponytails to be as high next to the one as you can. You leave a little space, but not much. You don't want them to be like ponytail, space, ponytail down here. They're pretty close. Not touching, but I would say, what, that's like 2 inches there, about. hairspray first to get those little baby hairs not in her eye, just like I did. She just need her eye to see. And then you can clean up the sides right there. And on the other side. And then you'll take a little bit more gel. You can stop. Here's the second ponytail, and as you can see here, when you do each ponytail, you can take your comb and blend them a little bit. That's why I recommended getting the no flake. It tugs on her a little bit, but the no flake styling gel. That way, when you brush over, it's not going to create a mess and look white all over. The bottom is really, you want to pull and spray it like crazy and gel it like crazy, because that's where they sweat a lot. That's where the back of the hats are going to be. You want to make sure that you don't put the ponytail low. You want no space so that they can have a hat, like the jump hat and all that, come down here, and they have room for it. So it's higher than the nape of the neck. Once you're feeling secure, you can go ahead and tie that last elastic. Like I said, the line here doesn't matter because you're going to hide that once you put the mohawk in. Ooh. Alright, she can pull her head up for me. And as you see, you have 3 beautiful ponytails that make one, but you're going to start here. I'm in love with this new teasing comb I got, I told you. Walgreens, if you need it, I can tell you where I found it. And you're going to want to tease like there's no tomorrow. There's no method. Sometimes when you're doing a certain teasing thing, you have to do a certain, there really is no way about it. You want to make it look as crazy as possible so that it sits well in the mohawk. My advice to you all, and I know from experience, those of you who say your hair will fall out or doesn't take a tease, you do not want to shower right before this. You're going to want your hair dirty. If you have to shower, use a shower cap. Figure out how to take a bath. I know you guys want to shower because you guys smell. I get it. However, your hair cannot be just newly wet because that is how it will break and damage. Her hair's from last night. It's teasing well, and it's not going to hurt her so much when she brushes this out. That's when you use your conditioners and all that fun stuff. Conditioners are your best friend when you tease your hair. So you do a pre-tease before you spray. And you tease each ponytail. Separate into pieces. Now, once you've done the initial tease, you're going to take your hairspray. You're going to step pretty far away because you don't want it to be glued just yet. Just gently spray a little around it so that we can get a little bit better of a tease and a little bit more control with how you want your hair to sit. You start with the top ponytail. That one is going to be your shaper. I take another comb, just a regular, normal. And what you're going to do is you're going to kind of brush little brushes. You don't want to pull out the tease completely. If you see a piece that is like completely not teased, like this one, you go in there and do that one. You're going to separate it into a couple sections. And you're going to kind of mess with it. Each dancer is going to be different. We don't want buns. And literally, as you can see, it's not a bun. It mostly folds. If you've teased it enough, which you have to, you can easily mold it where you want it to sit. There is no spaces in this mohawk. You want it to look like one big part from the poof continuing all the way to the end. So we don't want it to look like that, where you start it there and there's that gap in there. You want the poof to look like it's part of what you're doing. So I'm going to kind of fold it over and start with the top of it. Bobby pins are your best friend with this. If you want it to stay, use a lot. And go in there. I didn't have blonde ones for Jorianne, so you're gonna probably see a couple of these. But you wanna get ones that obviously match your hair, black, brown. You don't wanna use one that's not your hair color. And you can mess with it. There's really no right way for it to sit as long as it's this way. Each kid's hair is gonna be different. You just wanna make sure that if you need to tease it more or shape it more, you're gonna do a lot of tucking as well. Buns are more circular. And what I'm doing, I'm using the side that we've gelled up. That's where I'm bobby pinning it to. So that gives it a better hold. So you can go in there first and then grab the mohawk. And then I'll show you how to crisscross them in there. Like I said before, you're also going to make sure there's no holes. We have extra hair here from this one. We're not even into the second ponytail yet. It's a lot of folding, a lot of tucking. So you're going to go back to the front and blend these hairs together. You guys need hair nets for this. It's supposed to be crazy, but there will be no way it will stay if you don't use a hair net. I'll show you. You're going to want one your color too, not a lunch lady net. This is about as close as you're going to get to Jorianne's hair here. They have blonde ones, they have black ones, they have all the colors. You can get them at Walgreens, Sally's, but see how that controls it? It still looks like it's messy, but it's going to hold it in so that they don't fall out. Because there is supposed to be a craziness of this hairstyle. It's not supposed to look very perfect. The very slick part is the side. You can take your ratting comb, teasing comb, whatever you call it, and pull out with what you need. You can also tuck bobby pins in through this way. Is this piece of hair if you want to hide it in there and push it to the side. And then take your comb and pull it out a little bit so it's a little bit more secure. That one's good for now. You're going to go back and touch it up. Okay, so I've taken the second ponytail and it's all tucking under. You can pull out a piece if you want. What you're going to want to make sure, like I said before, no spaces. You want the hair to blend. Now you do see that it's two pieces, but I'm going to also attach pictures in this email for you that I have of other times I've done it, where you can see some people also are visual learners on a picture. We want to look the same with like how it's on their head, but they're not going to know where the bobby pins are. And you can go up on the top and connect them so that it makes more of one piece. I'm going to go back and make sure, because if you once you pull one side, you have to pull the other and make sure it's Don't worry about being too messy. You can always go in and probably pin it to another piece and poof off what you need to. Like I said before, bobby pins, bobby pins, bobby pins. This hairstyle is not for show. They need to be dancing in it, rolling on the floor. Some of them do somersaults. You want to make sure that these bobby pins are in and connected to the slicked ponytail part, not just floating around in their tease part. And I'm sure your dancers will let you know if it's in their head or not. You can give them a little. Are you feeling that, Dorian?
Yeah.
They know best what they feel, so you want to ask them and make sure. And I also do the crisscross technique. I put one in, and this one's going to be your tightest one. You're going to make them put their head down so you can finish it out. The ends, you're going to tuck them, roll them in there, and kind of shape it in your hand how you want this last one to sit. You don't want it to touch the bottom. You want to put it up a teeny bit more than their bottom. So, like I said before, for the hats, but you also don't want it all the way up here so that you see that. You want to make sure it does cover the ponytail, but it doesn't touch the bottom of where their hair goes into it. Start at the top, making sure there's no spaces. Connect it, bobby pin it to the other ponytail before it. That's not a word. Before it, so that it's all one piece, and that's also less likely for it to fall out if it's connected all in with all the other hair. Making sure you're bobby pinning underneath and not the top so they see them, and crisscrossing. If you want to stop it, because they don't need to see this part. Obviously, check with your dreamer, shake their head, make sure they're. Want to move your head a little bit for me, Dorian? It's going to move the little frillies, but once you put the hairnet over, that will stay secure. You also don't want to be stingy with the bobby pins. I've put almost an entire pack, and you probably will by the end. And Jorianne doesn't even have the thickest hair on the team, so the more bobby pins you get in there underneath this mohawk, securing it in place for them so they don't have, that's one less thing they have to worry about, the better. I put a ton on the bottom and a ton in the top to make sure the middle one kind of just goes with it, but you want to make sure it's secure for them. After you've secured pinning, you can take your ratting comb, kind of pull it out. The idea of it is you want to make it one continuous piece. There should be no space at all between the poof and the start of your mohawk. The poof is actually part of the mohawk. And you don't want the poof to be little. It's got to be tall enough where it continues on from top to bottom. Like I said, there's no wrong way to fold the hair over. As long where you see there's a piece lacking, you can pull out. And they're not buns. They're folded in and folded over. You have to have a hairnet for this, otherwise it will not work. Like I said, it blends in, you won't even be able to tell. Once it's over, you don't put the hairnet over the poof. That will look rough. You're going to tuck it underneath the mohawk, and it goes over just like that, and you're going to secure it with a couple of pins. And you're almost done. Secure that hairnet in. A couple on each side should do. Once the hairnet is in, the finishing touch, you're going to take your gel. Like I said before, this part of the mohawk is the very slicked, stylized. You're going to go in there and get all those baby hairs that you might have kind of pulled out when you were doing the mohawk. more gel, the better. You don't want any flyaways on the sides. And if you have some flyaways like I do right here, take a pin once it's all gelled in there, and you can bobby pin them into the mohawk. Take one pin, take your little baby hairs here.